Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
And I'm Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we are back with the new season of SD2 League. So today we're jumping right into the action on Tali Ihantala. Rang, who do we have and what are they bringing?
On the left-hand side in blue, we have GreyFox playing 20th Panzer with a Vanguard income. And on the right-hand side in red, we have Nilla playing 184th Infantry, also with a Vanguard income. And we're gonna have to comment on GreyFox opening here because this is very Gonzo-esque SD44 style of just bringing in a bunch of recon planes right at the start. But each one's have bombs.
True.
It could actually like blow something up, a napalm bomb.
True, but that's like throwing a Molotov cocktail out of the plane. Like you're not going to expect a huge big boom. Although actually, I do love this potential. I love this potential firefight down in the south. There's MG42s and Ogmachiki. And I think the Ogmachiki, I think the mortar got there just unfortunately, just a hair too late.
Yeah, I really do like that push out the smoke from Nilla Rastin in the Ogmachiki. Really disrupting the German lines. I mean, GreyFox has a lot of long-range firepower here, which he's not really managing to get online just due to that use of smoke.
Well, one thing we've probably noticed already is that both sides going heavy rush here. Kind of interesting. We expect to see a lot of early air power. Indeed, we've already seen 4 airplanes over here for GreyFox. The IL-2, not really sure. I think he sees his death kind of coming here, so I can't help but wonder if he's trying to at least get a little bit of recon out of that death. No, he's not.
Yeah. The Messerschmitt is one of the doesn't have like the gun pod, so it's gonna take a few strafing runs, I believe, to knock out the IL-2. But yeah, very explosive opener right off the bat here. North pretty quiet. The far south, Nilla is slowly pushing here, but really is coming to the center. GreyFox has not brought 1, not 2, but 3 Panzer IVs to try and seal this assault.
It certainly seems to be the case, but I think it's going to be kind of a tough ask here. And the Ogmachikis, I say Ogmachikis, but Ogmachikis over here just carving through the defending MG42s. And indeed, we're going to see just these, oh my gosh, these Go 145s just kind of prancing around like a rather meager little deer here.
Yeah.
And we have this weird sense of follow the leader as just these ME-109s. I didn't think that the IL-2s were really that deadly, but the 23 mils are just carving into pieces.
Yeah, the recon IL-2s are really quite nasty stuff. They don't have a lot of ammunition, so I mean, they have enough to shoot down an airplane or two in this scenario, but it's a very underwhelming dogfight. They're usually much more deadly in this con, but you know, both sides are actually having a hard time, and there you go, IL-2 does get a kill, but the Messerschmitt, with its rather anemic gun loadout, is really having a hard time dealing with that aluminium of an airframe. Well,
and he's going to go down here in just a second as well. Jeez, that is just unfortunate. That is a heavy loss investment right there.
Yeah, and as we've seen in the decks, both sides are going pretty heavy in air power, and we've already seen quite a lot so far.
Well, the thing I actually kind of like over here, and this is something that you commented on before we got started, Nilla's not going quite so heavy spam. We're actually seeing a lot of early kind of veterancy coming out of the Russian side of things. Is this indicating a shift in the meta, or what's going on with that, do you think?
I've been hearing from just like some of the meta and just seeing some of the decks is we are starting to see some more 1-star veterancy being taken on some units, because it can be worthwhile. Just that extra veterancy does help, but also when you buff up that 1-star veterancy, you can get them to 3 stars. Mm-hmm. And 3-star units are very scary. It's like I receive a lot of tanks right now, like the Panzer IVs, German. Usually take them with 2-star veterancy because you definitely get, you know, your bang for your buck in that regard. But so far, you know, looking at this battle, Nilla's definitely got the momentum. Like grabbing that central pound position, huge, especially for an infantry deck such as his. Like he can play in a forester's advantage, get some anti-tank guns, some infantry guns nearby to try and hold it. Because his main issue, I believe, is going to be dealing with these Panzer IVs currently. True.
I mean, I'm looking over here trying to see what kind of artillery can be brought back the other direction, and we have just the off-map 220, and that's it. So
yeah.
and you know, it's one of those things that I think I'm always having such a hard time with kind of comprehending. But so often we see rush decks really, really skimp on artillery, and I think there's a place for it in every single deck, and I think that some people really kind of overlook that.
Yeah, it's always been an interesting argument about whether you take artillery or not. One like proper artillery run. Nilla is, but he's playing a more defensive infantry deck. Even then, it's not a huge amount. This isn't 4v4 mounts worth of artillery here, guys. But I definitely feel like bestly of 20th Panzer, getting those mortar half tracks, I think is always a very good call-in. As you just the smoke alone, mortar half tracks, you can get your money's worth out, that's for sure. But hey, I mean, you can get a raid, especially in some 1v1s, even really using artillery apart from off-map to completely just devastate enemy defensive position. And you don't have to spend money on supplies.
Absolutely. But, you know, at the same time, I feel like, even if you're worried about the supply kind of material behind this, from looking at GreyFox, for example, I know it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I would give up my one card of MG42s to make sure that I have just a little bit of extra firepower when and where I need it.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make a quick call out. We had 5 squads, a Strelkovy, some with DP, some without, really set up over here in the center. They are pushing it heavily through, and these poor half tracks come the other direction. They're going to meet a rather fiery end pretty quickly here.
Yeah, they're going to have a very bad time. GreyFox does not really have much infantry so far, especially in terms of TQC early on. I mean, in B phase he does start getting those pioneers, which are going to help out, but his forest fight is going to be pretty brutal for him unless he can get some off-map or some air power to just try and blow things up. So it's a very good play from Nilla, he's definitely playing to his advantage. But I do like how GreyFox did bring out 2 Flak 88, so those pesky IR2 should be a lot less pesky now. They shouldn't be seeing his front line anymore.
It certainly does seem to be the case. I'm watching as this 45 mil to the south just probably takes out this one P4. And I'm a little surprised that the P4s have not been placed a little bit more aggressively on the southern positions. But apparently, hey, if you're going to donate a 45 mil, I apparently have to eat my hat there, so...
There we go. Actually, the armor in the Panzer IV actually doing something for a change, so that's good for him. We do see an 85 mil from Nilla, so both sides definitely playing it rather smart and getting, you know, some heavier anti-air early out. Huge amount of aircraft that we are seeing. We are seeing 2 of Nilla's A-phase IS-2s being brought out right now, and this is going to be a pain, I believe, for GreyFox to deal with. The Panzer IVs and T-34s really don't have the firepower. Well, the Panzer IVs can, but a bit
in theory.
Riskier. Yeah, in theory, but those ISUs are very, very scary pieces. Yeah, if Nilla can get the anti-tank to deal with the Panzer IVs, Panzer IIIs, and T-34s that are going to be coming his race shortly, he should keep his central position under his control. I mean, he definitely has the infantry advantage.
But not for nothing, I feel like the ISU 122s, these guys, again, I'm going to pull up the stats so people at home can kind of see this. Huge range. Huge range. But Tali Ihantala doesn't really allow him to play for that too much. Looking at a lot of these positions, especially where it is, like the southern one is right now, I don't know that this... By the time he gets into a strong position, he's going to be finding himself getting flanked by some of these P4s or anything. I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Khan. Like, in the position that they are, at closer range, those P4s have a pretty good shot of blowing up said ISU. I mean, they're much more... I mean, the one in the middle is actually in a very good spot right now to snipe those T-34s, as the T-34s are probably, you know, not enjoying being shot at from their own guns.
There's a certain irony to it, I will admit. But, ooh, actually, I love this call bringing the Martyrs in as well. Of course, the Martyrs' paper-thin armor, but their cannon is just absolutely devastating, so we could see maybe a pickup from that direction, from the north. But that's a very, very low percentage chance.
Yeah. I mean, as we see, we do have God Vision, but I think it would be a very good idea for GreyFox to try and push up north a little bit. As we can see, there's only 2 Ogum and Shiki squads, but it's not too much of a pull to really push up north here. Even for Nilla, he could do the same thing as well, even though he is focused very heavily in the center. Because you got good forest cover around that lake, which you can use to sneak on through to the enemy front line. And GreyFox on his side, he definitely has the long-range firepower to make such happen.
I certainly agree. More IL-2s coming in to pick up that G-145, the Go-145. I'm going to be fascinated to see how well the 88s push this back. And wow, I am surprised, but I guess it probably is very much helped by the fact that these guys are practically kissing each other as they're flying.
Yeah, and also they're like pretty slow aircraft, so the 88s definitely do a pretty good job in that sort of engagement, yeah. But this is also going pretty interesting in the center as GreyFox is pushing them back. I think of the good use of napalm bombers to knock out, you know, infantry positions, and also bringing in tanks into a forest fight, which is usually kind of deadly. But in this case, you know, those PCRDs can't do anything against T-34. So that's definitely managed to even things out here for GreyFox. He's using his off map now in the town. He definitely has a lot of armored support going on. So maybe it could be a resurgence for him. He's starting to gain back some of that momentum.
True, but he's got to be very cautious of the fact that, heck, even this 122 being brought on in, artillery positions can be hit very, very easily. And I actually like this rotation. This 45 mil is slowly being brought to the southern part of the forest. Oh, no, never mind. He's halted in the middle of it.
Down south, look at this.
Aggressive.
We got Nilla pushing, like, he's counter pushing down south. This is beautiful. He's got smoke on the point. He's got off-map artillery it. He's got a bunch of Strokies being brought in. The MG42's in a decent ambush position to force one to unload for now. But this is very interesting. And we do have the napalm bomber coming. The Go, yeah, that is. It's barely a napalm bomber.
Yeah, but he's gone a different direction.
I think he's just gonna be using them for reconnaissance rather than actually blowing them up. You know, definitely getting some bombs on that infantry position right now would be rather beneficial.
Yes, it would, but it's gonna come too late. Off-map barrage coming the other direction from Nilla, and definitely taking out T-34 in the meantime, pinning most of the rest of the material in the area. But it seemed just as soon as that infantry assault was going in, there's a counter thrust going the other direction. 3 Pioneer Squad, P3. I'm a little concerned about the P3's viability in the long term, but I think it would certainly give them some nice firepower, at least initially.
Yeah, and we all seen the Pioneers rush into the town. The Russian infantry has managed to regain a few of their trenches, and I think an artillery shell indirectly just blew up one of the Pioneers as they were running down the road. That was a pretty lucky shot, I'd have to say.
You and I have very different perceptions of lucky.
Yeah, it depends on which side you're on. It's all about perception.
True. Another ISU 122 to the north, so the Martyrs are having their hands full. And between the T-34s, I think are just kind of there just for the ride. Yep, one of them to the north has a gun jam, so he's pretty much doomed.
Yeah, those Martyrs are really quite nasty. I think they have a slightly higher fire rate compared to Panzer IVs, which do help out. And the ISU, not faring that well against PaK-40 fire.
Who knew that would happen?
Yeah.
But the counterpunch down to the south, it has been completely stymied. Geez, these guys are falling back in disarray here, and justifiably so. But the German approach over here in the center doesn't come much better.
Yeah, neither side really not managed to gain much ground. GreyFox is starting to push a little bit up north through the center here, trying to hunt down the second ISU's. Martyrs are, well, proper tank hunters, that's for sure. But Nilla is still holding the lead in terms of point. But I feel like GreyFox, he is slowly getting that momentum right now. He is pushing into the central position once again. More importantly, he has a lot of tank. And this is SD2. It's really just about having lots of tanks, or infantry in this case.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
45 mil is gonna go if I take out both of these Martyrs. The consequence of just being able to sneak up on them, as that 122 was, in fact, it wasn't. I don't know that it was a mistake. That it's just a random shell hit. He does still have 10 heat shells on him, so. worth mentioning there. But like you said, all the valuable territory not being owned just yet by anything that's got an iron cross on it. So
no, yeah, Nilla just needs to hold on to what he's got. He has a very good defensive position still, like down south and the center, and not really much up north, but no one's really bothering to push up north, so it's not too much of an issue. I feel like if his ISUs start to go down, he's gonna really start to feel the hurt in the central position here, because this is the main thing keeping back the tank.
True. True. But thus far, I think he's what? He's lost one of the ISU 122s?
Yeah,
one, I think.
The one up north. Yeah.
So, transmission damage level in the center, big deal. ISU... no, but he had another one down to the south. Did he maybe he recommitted?
Maybe it ran...
recommitted.
I think it may have run kaboom or reload. I can't keep track of them, unfortunately. Oh, goddamn, the goers are starting to go away as anti-aircraft guns are putting quite a bit of river and fire.
Which is actually kind of funny, because I feel like the 85 mils are firing at those. Fires at it, explodes right next to it, he continues to fly fine. But 37 mil, the 37 mil is quite a pain here.
And it seems Valentine's Day is coming a little bit later, as Nilla is bringing out a whole bunch of them. I do forget, 184th do have these tank quotation mark. I treat them more tank destroyers, really. But they're pretty good, all things considering, because fast fire rate on the 6-pounder and decent armor is not bad, just very bloody slow. But for a division like 184th, you kind of just have to make do, because you don't really have many other tank options.
True. That is absolutely right. But one by one, we are seeing the heavier weapon positions being silenced here. And while the Automachiki, the Strelky, the Automachiki Grotti, all of this stuff down to the south is technically able to fight back tanks, you're not going to fight back tanks supported by infantry. I think this counterpunch to the south is also going to be quite a winner.
Oh yeah, this is going pretty well. I think this is really just coming down to the proliferation of armor that GreyFox is bringing out. He has lost quite a bit, but he still has half tracks. He still has, a few tanks here and there. For 184th, Nilla doesn't have a lot of anti-tank gun, really. Like, even just those dinky 45 mils would be pretty useful right now, especially in his southern defense here, because the infantry can't really do too much against these Panzer IVs, so they provide some rather useful covering fire.
Well, let's not forget the fact that there still is a Wojciech Stalin somewhere out there.
Oh yeah, it is available too. Yeah, he does have it in his deck. You've also seen some Panzer IV F1 racers being brought in, and Messerschmitt drops the bomb, and that's be pretty good hit.
Unfortunately, it was too late to save Hearth, and it looks like at the same time it's too late to even save another P4.
Yeah, it was Valentine's definitely came in at the nick of time to get a kill or two. Oh, he did take a few casualties, yeah, so it was a pretty even trade, I would have to say.
And I'm trying to see over here from the 20th Panzer position what the heck they might be able to use.
I think the far southern flag. Oh, sorry, against the ISUs. I was thinking about flags, my bad.
Oh no, it's totally fine. There's several P4 F1s, the assault gun variant, basically the P4, that's being deployed. He's got a couple more Martyrs being pushed to the center, which I think is probably the best call he's got against that central 122.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. He does go down. I believe the Pack 40 finished him off, which definitely rather good, because now Nilla is... He should be out, or maybe one more. I
think he's got a fourth
it's one more in the center. So it's really not looking good for him in terms of that, because that was a pretty big part of his force. He is still in the lead. We're almost into C phase. At 13-11, he has a good points lead over GreyFox. And he does have a lot of infantry. Well, he has a lot of infantry for a Vanguard deck, but both sides are playing Vanguard, so we'll see if the momentum can hold.
I don't know that it's going to. And I say that only because when you look over here at GreyFox, he still has 27 peak runs that are still viable, and they're the DP ones as well. So they're coming in with half tracks, they're coming in very heavily armed. And as these numbers continue to drop from the Russians, I don't know that the 184th can keep them at range, you know?
Yeah, we got some 45 mils being brought up, but they're in a pretty poor position currently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, GreyFox just has the armor. It's really coming down to armor here. He's got the Armadas being brought in, but still Nilla's holding. But I feel like this is going to be his one flag in the center, which is almost going to pop. And then
Although,
he's
yeah,
definitely
this is
capture
the
one
west of
down
the
south. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just a holding action for Nilla now.
Well, again, the funny thing too is that again we've had these 4 squads of infantry to the north who have seen 0 action the entire time. 0 action.
They must be very happy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, South Troop and like, thank God you're not being used for suicidal charges against Russian machine gun team.
And now there's enough 88s here that the IL-2s just
Yeah.
they can't even get to the front line.
No, it's a pretty nasty anti-aircraft net, that's for damn sure. And I believe Nilla's going to be using his 122 mils to try and knock out those 88, which is a very good call, because those IL-2s are definitely, you know, proven to be pretty useful early game. But yeah, just looking at this now in terms of just, you know, who has what on the field, GreyFox definitely has more, like, he has been trading more efficiently, it seems like, and henceforth he has better quality unit field.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one by one he's getting the numbers too.
Yeah. Yeah, Bez man to get it to a 12. Oh, 13-11 now. But I think that's gonna flip back.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I feel like if it's once it's ISU, add a time limit, please. That's for, to be fair, I've been talking about that quite a bit. It's actually a very good discussion.
Talk a little bit more about the people at home who don't know what you're talking about, sir.
So pretty much like, there's been a pretty, since the game released, about adding a time limit. There's a huge pros and cons between having it. You know, the pros, it doesn't mean that match is going for an hour. But the cons are the same, and there's, bloody hell, I'm losing my train of thought here. It doesn't go on for an hour, and it, you know, makes it a bit more compact games, and makes it less C-phase spammy as we usually see. But the cons is that it does make rush decks better, as we've seen in SD44, where in that game too, the best like divisions usually rush divisions. But there's an argument against that as well. Yeah, even without the time limit, as we see, rush divisions are still better because they do allow you to get into those important positions at the start of the match. Like those first 5 minutes are extremely important in, you know, momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh no, I would like to see a time limit option being added to lobbies, and just to see how it would work, because currently it's 0 time limit, even as an option, and it should at least be an option.
Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I'd want to make sure that the time limits. There's the opportunity for a comeback. Otherwise, you'll never see a 352nd, for example, because 352nd is one of those divisions that you either outlast, or you get super lucky and you get that first punch in.
Yeah.
So
it depends on how they do the time limit.
Yeah.
Like I think like 45 minutes would be good rather than the 40 minutes. That would give you just a little bit of extra time for C-phase to still be good, but I don't know, it also goes into how the flags and the map set up in ST2, and that becomes an even longer discussion. But as we can see here, I think Nilla is pretty buggered at this point.
I certainly think so. And you know what? I mean, going into now 24 minutes in, he's got Valentine's, he's got some more kind of... he's got the stewards moving in. That's how hard up he is for tanks.
Yeah. 184th is... It's a tough division to play, to be fair. I don't think it's very good, because yes, you do get the infantry spam and the issues, but I feel like you really just want Shermans and T-34s if you're wrestling divisions in 1v1s. Like just having a bunch of medium tanks which you can spam extremely important, especially if they're 2-star Shermans. You really can't go wrong with 2-star Shermans.
It certainly seems to be rather difficult to do it, doesn't it?
Yes, but very close on KD, really. Only a, 400-ish difference.
I imagine how we played up to the end of it, I imagine that would have definitely happened. But as you can see right here, I mean, regardless, some of the guys who are the most killy over here were the ones who were early on taking those very, very aggressive positions. Or, in the case of, as the unsurprising thing is, Leonidov, for example, over here in the ISU 122, picking up a 4-pack of Panzers and a couple of half-tracks before he goes back to his own dacha. ISU underneath that, 2 P4s and a half-track. The unsurprising standouts are the unsurprising standouts.
Yeah, and losses, some tanks did pretty decently, but nothing really stand out as for 20th Panzer. It was pretty even, all things considered. But at the same time, there's not apart from the ISUs, there are not many high-profile support targets, or tank spam to really be blowing up.
I don't know, my man of the match goes to Goldman over here. They go 145, he'll kill 3 different squads of infantry.
He paid himself off quite a bit.
Exactly.
That's only a 20-point plane, and he killed
about 60, 75
65 point traffic infantry. So good job, Mr. Goldman, chucking some Molotovs out of the side of the craft. That was a pretty good match. This is from the first division of the SD League, so this is the cream of the crop, the top of the pops players. I think definitely just how that game played out and how both sides were reacting, it's very apparent. It's the gameplay here.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I will say, as a bit of a teaser over here, we have something really, really quite fun over here coming on Thursday. Some new material, shall we say, that I'm extremely excited to kind of cast. So I hope everybody joins us over here on Thursday.
Yep.
But in the meantime, any final thoughts about this one?
No, it's just a really good game, guys. And sorry, Nilla. I think I've been calling you Nilla, but you want it pronounced Nilla. But yeah, it's just my pronunciation.
It's the Canadian accent, I understand.
Yeah. It's a very weird Canadian accent at this point.
We'll beat it out of you eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But until next time, folks, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.